Stage 4 of the Tirreno-Adriatico and the run to Bellante ahead of the field. Snow-capped mountains dotted around the countryside, and you could tell that the high ground, which will present itself properly on stage 6, is not that far away. Well, high ground out of the back door today, certainly climbing and tempting a breakaway of a substantial force to go up the road. 2 laps, 3 times over the final climb with ramps of 11% were always going to be a nightmare at the end of the day. But could it be dream time for the brave? We would wait and see. Once the flag had dropped, then it was all hell breaking loose out of the back door. A short 5-kilometre run before some real inclines. Quinn Simmons had broken out of that breakaway. Ilocometa's Diego Rosa not happy about the fact that he was stealing mountains points from Davide Bais, who'd failed to make the break and looked to be comfortable in that green jersey, at least until now. Well, with Sutherland, Restrepo, Gamay, Calmejaan, Caicedo, Rubio, Chris Hamilton, Diego Rosa, Warren Barguil and Quinn Simmons himself up front, it was a strong fighting force, and in fact they had a gap of around 6.5 minutes, but that was being pared back ever so slightly. By the time we had just over 70 to go, it started to fracture. Some moments out there, Magnus Cort just losing the back wheel, taking the left hand side around a roundabout, looked to be perhaps a little bit of oil on the road. I have some embrocation, I am certain, on his wounds at the end of this evening. Rough certainly for some, but really it was a psychological battle that was about to be played out once we got to the high ground. Magnus Cort back on his bike, it'll be an uncomfortable night for him. But really, it'll be more of the same tomorrow. High ground, high percentages, and a high likelihood that this man, Quinn Simmons, might be motivated to be in the break again. We shall see. This time by, he wanted mountains points and wasn't that keen on giving anyone else a free ride. Diego Rosa did his best to limit the damage in that King of the Mountains competition on behalf of Davide Bais. But really, Quinn Simmons was going to be unstoppable. So as the kilometres came down and we started to get to the peaks and troughs, the chase was being invigorated, not by the entire peloton, but by a select group that started to think about the chances of maybe going long, maybe denying Tadej Pogačar when we got to those significant ramps of 11% at the end of the day. Well, as the breakaway started to fracture and they were being absorbed by the chasing pack, the gaps were becoming rather marginal. Still with a lap to go, Alaphilippe had tried to move earlier on in the day to get Remco Evenepoel to go long. It didn't work because it was marked out by none other than Tadej Pogačar himself. So they'd had a good preview of the final test, and it was only for the brave, I think it's fair to say. Christian Rodriguez went early, one of many that tried to roll the dice ahead of the final climb. Well, he got to those ramps and was trying his level best to stay clear. Good driving work by Arnaud Démare, who just missed out on the sprint yesterday. He working for Thibaut Pinot. Alaphilippe was still doing a job, trying to give as much respite as he could to Remco Evenepoel, who'd failed on his mission to go long, and now it was going to come down to the final reckoning. Tadej Pogačar had never looked stressed. He'd always been marking out a few, either he or his teammates. And when the fire was set by Evenepoel, straight onto his back wheel, Covidis Victor Lefay, another Frenchman, Alaphilippe just off the back, and indeed Bardet had tried his hand as well, and that hadn't worked. Landa was up here, so were plenty of others. Warren Barguil in the frame, but Pogačar never that far away from the action. Miguel Angel Lopez had also rolled the dice, it wasn't to be, and Richie Porte had his turn. In the end, however, Lefay went for it, and Pogačar decided, well, maybe that was a wheel to follow. He did so, closed the gap, then rounded his man, and was to finish off the job. Nobody could stay with Pogačar when he injects pace such as this. The sheer belief, and of course the talent to back it up, is there for everybody to see. Tadej Pogačar heading for bonus seconds, trailing Evenepoel by 9 at the beginning of the day. It was a margin he was to turn around right here. Super work when you can get it. And he gets it more often than not. He's 100% so far in races this year, winning in the UAE and Strade Bianche. What about the Tirreno-Adriatico? Well, he's in charge. Took the win today, 2 seconds clear of Vingegaard. Nice to see him back after the disappointments of the time trial. Lefay the Brave, Remco Evenepoel staying in touch. But there is only one leader of this race, and you know his name. Tadej Pogačar. Who is going to stop him? Well, they will try again over the next 3 days. Tomorrow it's the run to Fermo, and he holds a lead over Evenepoel of 9 seconds with Pipo Garner on 21, Arensman on 36, Gegenhardt still in the frame very much so, and Vingegaard reigniting his credentials. Quinn Simmons in green, and a more deserved King of the Mountains leader you'd be hard pushed to find. I suspect he may well try and be in the break again tomorrow. David Baez moving down out of the green jersey into second place ahead of Diego Rosa, who picked up points today. This is what we're dealing with on stage 5. It's a bit of a brute, and it has 21% ramps at the very end. Destination Fermo, it's going to hurt. We know that. But their suffering is our entertainment. The Tirreno-Adriatico moves on towards the Adriatic.